Energy Saving the Home radio show. We are broadcasting here from the 27th annual Texas Home and Garden Show at the Reliance Center. Hours today, 8 o'clock. Tomorrow, 11 until 6 o'clock. So join us tomorrow here at the Texas Home and Garden Show. That is Sunday, February 10th. And we are talking to a number of different experts here at the Home and Garden Show this weekend. Of course, we had the account executive for the producer of the show here, Kevin Up, on in the first segment. Second segment was Shannon Register with Houston Real Estate Advisors. And we always love talking to her about the real estate market and how efficient are those homes really out there that they're selling and buying, right? This segment, actually, we have Jim Hudson. And Jim is always a special guest here on the Energy Saving in the Home radio show. He's with a company called Solar Royal, and I said before we went to that last break, we're going to talk solar this hour. So Jim, welcome to the Energy Saving in the Home radio show.
Well, thanks, Gary. It's always fun to be here with you. And what a great home show it's been.
Oh, absolutely.
This place is packed with people.
It is packed with people.
I tell you, amazing.
So is it beautiful outside? Am I missing something outside?
Oh,
I bet I am, right?
No, it's absolutely beautiful. It's about 75, 78 degrees. And wait a minute, aren't we in February?
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, so this is theoretically winter for us? No, not so much, right?
We had a winter?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember it. So, but they are having a pretty good winter up in the Northeast right now. Watching the news reports last night, 2-3 feet of snow. My stepdaughter and her husband and my stepson also are all up in Boston, and I'm laughing at them.
Gotta love it, because that's why we live in Texas.
That's right, exactly. Okay, Jim, let's talk about solar, okay? How important is ventilating the attic?
Well, ventilating the attic's huge. I mean, let's face it, there are 2 ovens in every house. One oven cooks cookies. The other oven cooks your house.
Okay, so we got an oven in the house, and the other one is that attic, that nemesis, the attic.
Absolutely. Typical temperatures in this area, you know, southern Texas, you're talking 140 to 145 degrees on the average.
Right.
Some can be hotter. So ventilating that attic is hugely important because it's going to take the heat load off not just the house, but your HVAC system. And that's where you're going to see the energy savings. And that's what we're all about.
Okay, so we talk about solar, and we talk about solar in the aspect of ventilating the attic, which is what's called active ventilation. So if you have passive ventilation, I just want to describe the difference here so that our listeners understand.
Passive ventilation is typically, you see ridge vents and dormer vents, the little square boxes on the roof. Passive ventilation relies on convection. True convection starts at about 125, 128 degrees. That's where the air is rising fast enough to actually pull air in from the soffits and start the air exchange process. However, you're only going to get 2 to 3 air exchanges an hour, and that's why the temperatures you'll see exceed 140 degrees.
So that 2 or 3 temperature changes an hour is not enough?
No, it's not. The Home Ventilation Institute, HVI.org, they have some great information. They say that 10 to 12 air exchanges an hour, and you will see temperatures between 5 and 15 degrees of ambient or the outside temperature.
Okay.
And that's what it takes to achieve some of the energy efficiencies that we're all looking for.
Okay, so somebody says, oh, you don't want to use them power fans. That's a bad thing. You're going to pull the air out of the house. What do you say about that?
Well, and absolutely, you can do that, but proper ventilation is a direct result of proper installation, and the third leg of proper installation is adequate intake. Air is like water. It's going to flow through the path of least resistance, so when you have adequate intake, think about your air conditioner, Gary. If your air conditioner filter plugs up, how well does your air conditioner run?
That doesn't work well at all.
Same thing in the attic. Your soffit vents are your air filter. So you keep those free flowing, then you can exhaust the proper amount of air, and now you can achieve proper ventilation.
Well, that's a great point, because if it's a box, if you're going to install an air conditioning unit, it is a box. It has no ability to know and understand how it needs to be installed at that home. The same thing applies with the solar fans. If you don't make sure that intake is sufficient to adequately draw the air through there, then you really haven't installed the fan properly, have you? But you guys have expert installers, don't you?
We absolutely do, and we train them, Gary. It's not just like they're not selling just a solar fan. What they're selling is proper ventilation. And that's really what is a key. And the 3 keys to proper ventilation: 1, size it right. Get your 10 to 12 air exchanges an hour. Number 2 is point the solar panel to the south. In our area, you need, and in Houston in particular, 6 degrees west to south is perfect at about a 28-degree angle. And that's going to give that motor the electricity it takes to turn properly, to get the fan blade moving, to get the air moving. And the third leg, of course, is the adequate intake.
So does it take more than one fan typically for an attic?
Well, let's go back to those 10 to 12 air exchanges. It's a calculatable number.
Okay.
The solar roll fan does 1,300 CFM. Now, that's 80,000 cubic feet of air a minute. Now,
that was good. You had that right off the top of your head. That was great.
I pulled out the calculator and whipped it right through. When you get at our age, what happens?
Right, yeah, you got to have the notes for that.
So your air exchange is actually a calculated number, how much volume's in that attic,
right,
what the roof pitch is,
right,
if you have vaulted ceilings in there, do you have a bonus room up there, does it take some of the volume out? So the contractors come out, they take a look at that, they calculate what's needed, and then that's when it's determined as how many fans you want on a house.
Okay. So attics that are separate, like multiple little attics, and we see a lot of homes like that because architecturally that is a nice looking roof, but from a ventilation standpoint it creates a real havoc, doesn't it?
Ooh, call it a nightmare. I mean, we've actually went in and attached some attics with some guys so that they do have some flow. And let's go back to that intake, because you get the flow from wherever the intake's at. And that's a key.
Okay. So you could theoretically then put a solar fan in one of those attics if you had the separate attics, because many of our listeners may have those houses with those separate attics, and adequately ventilate each one. You just need to do the calculations again, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about solar roll. Let's talk about the fan itself. Where did it come from? There's probably multiple different fan companies out there.
Yeah, well, there's 33 fans on the market right now, and a real key in what you're looking at. The solar roll fan, the solar royal took 18 months of product development and technology, and what we've done is we've taken the best aspects of each fan that's out there and we've put them into one. Made it simple. We have a patented design on our construction. You have two-piece construction, so you can install the flashing. Get it sealed.
Okay, that's really important, and I don't want you to jump across that too quickly now. So you have a two-piece fan. The flashing is one component of that, and the rest of it is the rest of the fan, right?
Absolutely. The fan unit then interlocks on that, and that's important because now you can interlock that fan in any one of the four positions to face the south.
Okay. Okay. And it's also important, too, in a situation where down the road, if you needed to, the fan went out for whatever reason, you needed to change that component, you don't have to mess with the roof again, right?
Absolutely not. And our warranty, Gary, is 15 years, bumper to bumper. And what we're going to do is if something ever does happen, we're going to send you a whole new top assembly. We're not going to send you a little component to have to take something apart and put together. We want that complete unit back so we can determine what happened. But all you have to do is 4 screws, open the top up, unlock the unit. The flashing will never come off, because when you start taking flashings on and off a roof, you know we have a roof leak.
Right, so you don't want. So you really put a lot of thought into that process. Now, one of the questions I think I hear more often than I don't hear when we're talking about these is, what if the panel gets hit by a hailstorm?
You know, these panels are tested to an ASTM standard, 1-inch steel ball bearing 36 inches up. Now that simulates a 1 to 1 1/4 inch hail. We've actually seen roofs that had hail damage trash the roof, but the panels were still good.
Okay.
So they're very impact resistant when you start talking about hail.
Okay, so there really isn't a major problem with that then.
Oh no,
but I hear people ask they ask that question.
It's a huge question.
It's a perception, isn't it?
Absolutely,
yeah,
it is.
Okay, so perception. So again, what is the warranty now on the fan itself?
It's 15 years bumper to bumper, and you can actually upgrade that to a lifetime warranty at the time of registration if you so choose to.
Okay. You talked about facing and orientation, and is it something that you have a solar panel that comes off? For instance, let's say that south is the front of the house. What do we do about that?
Well, and you know, you also take a look at shading on roofs too. With a south-facing house, you're going to put this on the north side of the house because you want all these type of products on the back, out of sight, out of mind. With the way our unit is designed, you can actually lock that panel and point it to the south from the north facing.
Okay. So homeowners associations, we're talking about solar panels. I'm sure that comes up in many, many conversations as well, doesn't it?
Well, it did for many years, Gary. However, 2 years ago, the Texas State Legislature passed a state law that says homeowners associations no longer have the right to say no to solar.
Oh. So they can't just be bullies and do that now.
They cannot be bullies. Now, you know, there are some things in that law that says you have to stay within these guidelines,
Yeah.
but it's for aesthetic purposes.
Yeah, and I say that because aesthetic purposes is the key to that. So tell everybody how they get in touch with you and the Solar Royal product.
You can reach Jim Hudson at 281-904-5281 or go to our website, solarroyal.com. Call our 800 number, 800-317-4996. Again, Gary, thanks for having us on.
Hey, Jim, we always love having you here, and maybe we'll get an attic guy on here in a couple of segments, and we'll talk to him about his experience with putting the Solar Royal fan on. What do you think?
Sounds great to me.
Let's do that.
Let's see if we can go find one.
We're going to go find one. We're going to do that in the next segment. We're broadcasting from the 27th Annual Texas Home and Garden Show here at the Reliance Center. Hours tomorrow, Sunday, 11 till 6. Today, you can visit us till 8 o'clock today as well, and a lot of great booths, a lot of experts here, and we've got a lot more experts coming here on the Energy Saving the Home radio show here in just a couple of more minutes. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, more of them sitting in the chair. We're going to question them about their products and services. We're going to find out what is the most savings you can get here at the Texas Home and Garden Show.